Goodness gracious.
What, that it's just a jobs program?
Yeah. Jobs program?
Yeah, because there's no need for GM. I mean, it's just there was no need for it. We have 9.9 million cars being sold. They have a failed model, but you want to put all those people out of work. Isn't it better to just have them be paid there, have it be run by the union? They crunch the bondholders. It's a total triumph of Trotsky over capitalism. I use Trotsky only because I heard negative things about Lenin and Stalin here earlier, so I figured I'd invoke the Troika.
Bring in the Troika. Okay. But this is
I can accest that explanation.
Right? It's a jobs program.
The phony baloney explanation we get out of Washington.
Actually, it is.
They're hysterical in Washington. They only need 10 million cars to make good. They need about 16 million cars to be sold. It was a great play to crunch the bondholders. That American capitalist idea is now gone. They used to be at the top after the IRS. Now it's the union, then the IRS, and then the bondholders.
Okay, so then let's take one step back. Does this fail? Not as an investment, but does the company fail?
No, it's kept alive as long as we have a bad unemployment problem. And then as soon as the unemployment problem goes away, GM goes away. But make no mistake about it.
GM goes away. So the end of this movie is so they go through bankruptcy. They're putting out ads today saying they're reinventing themselves.
And you're telling that's terrific. I'm glad they're doing that.
And you think they're going out of business again?
It's not a car company. It's a jobs program.
Wow.
It's a jobs program, and it's also, by the way, a healthcare program, very well-run healthcare program. They also happen to make cars. It's kind of like a health maintenance organization / the Congress of Industrial Organizations, UAW. It's just a terrific, because it's not just auto companies that are, there's a lot of parts companies. But don't mistake this as an auto company.
Wow.
This is just a gigantic attempt to keep as many people employed as possible. And it's a lot easier keeping them employed having to do with cars than trying to retrain them to work on oil wells or something.
When you say, and again, I accept the explanation of a jobs program. I accept that.
WPA?
Yes, absolutely.
UAW, WPA, different letters.
But when you say it goes away, what do you mean by it goes away?
Well, it just gets smaller over time. It becomes less of a part of the firmament.
So
and then you start talking about it
death.
as if it's like, well, maybe it's less important than Boeing already. It's certainly less important than IBM. It's less important than Cisco. It's less important than Intel.
Okay, so the future of GM, given your concept,
there is no GM. It's just a big work. The future is that as the workers ultimately retire, die off, it becomes, maybe if they had a defense contract or two, then I would say that there's a reason for it to live, like it was Kaiser in World War II or something. But no, it's just a way to keep people employed.
How long do we own it? How long do we prop up this jobs program, we the taxpayer?
Until it's an unimportant, until the employment comes back in the country down to 9 or 8%. Then we sell it to some private equity guys.
You mentioned World War II. And the president's going to be in France on Saturday, in 65th anniversary
True
of
capitalist
D-Day.
country.
By the middle of 1942, nearly everything in and around Detroit, every factory was retooled. The River Rouge factory, they were all retooled within 6 months.
How many cars did they make in 1942?
They made probably for sale to the customer, probably about less than 500.
None.
Okay,
yeah,
there you go.
It was about 400. Yeah, exactly right.
So, is there any shot that these factories can be retooled for this green economy?
None whatsoever. These factories are completely irrelevant. Again, I think if you just accept it for what it is, you'd feel a lot better about it than just accept. It's a $50 billion jobs program, which is a lot cheaper than a $100 billion jobs program.
On our radio show yesterday, we had a couple of vice presidents from GM on who were touting that this company is going into the future, that these cars are going to
Was there a guy who was not white and 55? Was there a white 52-year-old?
It was actually a woman.
Holy cow, they found a woman.
All right, now back to what you're saying, though. Are you telling me that I'm talking to these people and they're pretending it's a company and it really is just a jobs program and that we're not going to see GM in the future? And
we pretend to work and you pretend to pay. Remember that?
Geez, he's very cynical.
But hold on a second. What if some smart young guy or woman at General Motors figures out, along with his or her team, how to make a car that I can fit in, that my 4 children can fit in, and gets 50 miles to the gallon? That revolutionizes the car industry. Are you saying that
would be their opportunity now?
Are you saying that Americans are incapable of cracking that code?
Just the opposite. I think GM's incapable. If that guy really existed, or that woman, I would go right to Ford. Al Mullally will put that car out there immediately. See, he's not from Detroit. He's from Boeing.
He's an airplane
which is by far the greatest American manufacturer other than Caterpillar.
So why couldn't General Motors crack that code and revolutionize the car industry?
Because it was an insular company that really stopped listening to what America wanted. Now, look, Toyota Motor had minus 41% sales yesterday, so it's not like this industry's setting the world on fire. But it is the case that Ford, unless the government decides to sell the cars below cost, Ford's a winner here, and we should be celebrating the winner of capitalism that actually raised money when it should, raised money when it could, also did a stock offering at 4 3/4 that was an immense success, and is not a jobs program. Actually makes cars.
Andrew, do you agree with all this?
Unfortunately, I agree with a lot of it, but there's some part of me that I think is with Joe in that you want to hope. You want to hope that this Chevy Volt thing works. You want to hope that there's a kid.
I want the Cubs to be in the series. I have such tremendous hope for them.
You want to hope that somehow they pull this off, that somehow they come up with a green car that really changes the world and sets it on fire, right? That's what you want to hope.
Toyota's bought,
and you know what?
Toyota's bought so many copper mines in this world.
There have been turnarounds in this world. Occasionally you get a CEO or an executive who walks in the door and turns around a mess, and 10 years later we herald them.
So this is one last chance.
Turnarounds are hard. How about Toyota buying all the copper companies up that it can in the world so that they are the big battery maker, which it is going to be a battery business. That's a forward way to look at things, right?
That is.
Because it's going to be battery operated. You need copper.
Really
so
smart.
Toyota, every time a copper mine comes up for sale, other than the one that the Mexicans just bought with the Sarco, the Toyota company's in there buying it.
So it sounds like you're saying that this $50 billion bailout is nothing more than an insurance policy for politicians who don't want to have to run with 12% unemployment.
Why are you so uncynical? I think that the whole goal is not even political. I think it is just literally, it is literally just a terrific way to be able to give the union charge so that, you know, this is a transference of capitalism away from bondholders to unions, because we believe that the unions can run a better jobs program than the bondholders.
Well, and I keep hearing you, and Mike, you hear it too from business people, liberals and conservatives. Looks like the unions are gaining unprecedented power, not only with this administration,
but this is their day.
It is their day.
I was told by actually a Democratic business person that when certain union members come into their offices, they scrape and bow because they understand that that union representative has carte blanche with this administration.
If they get card check, I got to tell you, I think Walmart cut in half. I think most of the department stores will suffer mightily. There's a lot of, even Costco, which is trying to do a middle ground card check. I think card checks may be the most important issue facing American
I'm with Jim on that.
Companies right now. Yes, card check.
Name a successful unionized company. Think. You're going to go to break before you come up with one.
And
that's the problem.
But Mike,
you're so lost their way.
But my philosophy has always been look for the union label and sell. That's always been one of my hits.
But see, Mike, though, here's what's stunning about this. You have always been seen as, you know, a Democrat, a Boston guy, a blue-collar guy, a pro-union guy, and yet you're telling me
they have lost their way.
That now the unions have.
They're in it for the dues.
You bet, the checkoff.
Rather than helping their employees, rather than helping the union members, they're in it for the dues.
That's a member of a union. I ran a Wildcat strike once at the Philadelphia Veterans Stadium over the fact that they literally they were giving me melted ice cream. Principles.
All right, I'm impressed.
We're going to continue to watch President Obama.
See you later.
You're amazing. My head hurts after the way you just
coming up
described that.
next, we're going to be talking to Senator Lamar Alexander of Tennessee and following the president in Saudi Arabia. You're watching Morning Joe.